are. Now, here we are.
Yes, we are.
We are in studio.
Very much in studio.
This is our studio. You see, we have the official studios.
His studio. We decided that, we just wanted to, shift around the furniture behind the scenes at the old studio in the Washington, D.C. studio.
And I know we're a little closely framed together here, but both of us did brush our teeth just before the podcast.
Right. So, I just so happen to be in town.
He's visiting in town because his little brother Gregory is graduating from high school, homeschool.
Yeah. He doesn't know I'm here. Don't tell anybody.
Don't tell Gregory. So, Gregory, if you're watching, have amnesia or something.
Yeah. Right. So what we thought would be most appropriate, since we're so close.
Oh, yeah, very close. Yeah.
Yes, we're this close, this close, like fist close of each other.
This is how movies are made. Unfortunately,
a heart is the size of your fist, and since we're literally a heart apart,
or a heartbeat away.
Well, we thought we would talk about friendship.
Friendship. Do you have any friends?
No. Oh. Do you have any friends?
We have friends in Japan.
That's true.
That's true. Right.
Bulgaria.
And Bulgaria.
Yes.
Right. And friends all over. But many of you have asked us to talk about friendship because obviously it's kind of unusual for a geezer and a brat to be friends.
In that order. Brat, geezer.
Yeah. Anyway, so we've known each other, just 2 years? And I think we've done a lot together.
We have. I just did some research for this podcast. There's an email where I say it was great meeting you for the first time today.
It always starts with an email, folks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we set up a meeting. That was like 2 weeks before we actually met. Apparently, the 25th of May, 2017, which is
college had just let out.
Yes, it was summer. And we just were at the tables. Mm-hmm. So we'll get into why we met together in a little bit.
We already did a podcast on that.
Okay, yeah. So, that was only...
Podcast number 62.
Yes.
Yeah.
You just made up that number, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay. So
and they believe it.
Yes. It was literally 2 years ago in a few weeks from this very day.
From this very day.
What have we done in the past 2 years?
Well, you have incubated your own college critical thinking club, which has ignited people like Cage Englander to become more involved in the exchange of ideas.
Yes.
And other people like Brett Olson. You've been a thought provoker and a thought influencer.
There were a lot of people that went to that club. This club happened within the span of 2 years. Mm-hmm. No, sorry, 1 year. Mm-hmm. I spent 2 years at school. The first year I didn't have anything to do with anyone.
No.
But I spent a lot of time that 1 year focusing on developing my club and the people within that club. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them blossomed into people that, there's a lot that I want to learn about and investigate. To me, that was the big win. Mm-hmm. And that was my big win. And I had the absolute pleasure of doing it under the guidance of Professor Mark McIntyre.
Tutelage.
Yes, the tutelage.
Tutelage.
He was the tutor, I was the tutee. Yes.
And the amazing thing that happened was, because I was there, I was the faculty advisor to his club. It was called the Critical Thinking Project at Santa Barbara City College. And every club needs an advisor, so he hoodwinked me into being the advisor. That's how actually.
That's old news, though. But let's talk more what we have learned. I want to talk
from each
more,
other.
Well, I want to talk about what on earth could you learn from a little stinking geezer, young geezer like me?
Well, I learned that there are young people your age who actually do read books, okay? Because you read ferociously and voraciously. And, I know you eat a lot, too.
Yeah.
But I learned that books are not dead. In my last years of teaching, I was rather disappointed in the fact that students were not reading hard copy books. They were not reading books. And then I met you, and you led me to other students, and all of them are readers. Cage is, Brett is, a lot of the people who were in the club.
Yeah.
So not only have you taught me that, but also you have taught me something else. I was also very disappointed in believing that young people did not believe in transcendent principles and values. as the basis of a conservative way of life, a conservative outlook on life. Because conservatism is really not about rules and regulations about lower taxes and border control and
those are offshoots and things
Right,
that, you know,
right.
they come with the package.
policies. Those come with policies.
Yeah, they're package deal.
But they're not really the issue. The issue is principles and values. And one thing that he has taught me, Alex has taught me, is that, and I had despaired about this, is that there are younger people who still believe in transcendent reality, truth, goodness, and beauty.
Well, I want to add a caveat to that,
Mm-hmm.
is that by and large, I believe most of my generation wants to believe that. They just don't have the methodology. Nobody's there to teach them how to get that and how to conceptualize it.
Yeah, we've talked about that many times. It's bad parenting on the one
Yes.
hand, because you have very good parents.
Bad teachers.
He has exceptionally good parents.
I do. They don't know I'm in town, so don't tell them either.
No, but he was homeschooled, and I didn't know there was such a thriving homeschool population here in Santa Barbara.
Not just Santa Barbara, the whole country.
Whole country.
Yeah.
But I certainly didn't know about it here.
Yeah.
And I commend his parents and the other parents of homeschool people because they are not susceptible to the indoctrination that's going on in government schools. We no longer call them public schools. We call them what they are.
Subsidized government schools.
Right, on the advice of Betsy DeVos.
Yes.
We now call them government schools because that's what they are. So that's what he has taught me. He has taught me not to lose hope and not to lose faith and not to lose involvement and participation and encouragement of younger people.
So that's mostly perception. I want to know, how about your thoughts on not just not metaphysics, but and not your perceptions of society, but what about your thoughts on philosophy? Do you have I added any insights to how you philosophically understand truth, reality, goodness, and beauty?
Yes, actually, you have had an influence on that, and the influence that he's had on me is mainly in a branch of philosophy called epistemology, which is really how do you know what you know, and can you know it with certainty? And I had known what. Actually, you retaught me something. I knew this when I was your age, but I forgot it. I'm 75.
Very
He's
Platonic.
21.
He's Platonic.
Right.
It's all about remembering.
Right.
things.
It's all about remembering. And what he has taught me is that there are valid ways of knowing things with as much certainty as a human being can possibly have, and that these things you can accept on faith. And these faith principles can become driving principles as to how you live and how you relate to other people. And it has to do with the molding of your character. So this is what
And
Alex has taught
that
me.
is the proudest accomplishment I've ever had in our friendship.
Really? Oh,
I would say so.
you never told me that. Well, I
No,
never told you that.
I just did.
So,
I've also taught you about Armenian culture,
right,
but you know.
right. Cicero defined friendship as another self. Seriously, that's where we get the expression that a good friend.
What makes us similar? It's like who would think that we're, you know?
I know. We don't have a lot of similarities.
I'm better looking, but
That's
you know.
true. That's true. You are true. Yeah, but I've got more camera time than you have.
I want more ink.
And I got paid for it.
Yeah, no,
He does it for free. But when you're looking for a friend, you're not only looking for somebody that is practical and useful in your life, you're looking for somebody who makes you a better person. When you can look at a person, as I can look at Alex, and say, I'm a better person because I know Alex. I hope he's a better person because he knows Mark. If you can do that, folks, then you really have found a friend.
Well, now it's my turn to talk about what I've learned through you, if we have the time.
Well, that's all, folks. That's all we have time.
Great, just enough time. What I have learned from you is where to focus.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you see, prior to you, I've read lots of I've read the Plato's Republic and the basics.
He's read a lot of it, yeah.
The basics, lots of Christian theology, lots of
A lot of Christian theology.
a lot of humanist thought, a lot of secular humanist thought. But what was really wonderful about knowing you is I could learn the nuggets of philosophy. Because we're so similar, you knew exactly what I would catch on to. My introduction to Kierkegaard.
All right.
But probably is one of the most profound and impactful things.
I gave him a
blessed
book
me
called
with.
Purity of Heart is to Will One Thing, and many people think that this is, I'm among them, many people think that this is the seminal work in modern Protestant theology and philosophy. And I knew that I had mentioned this book to him at the beginning of our relationship, but he didn't actually read it until recently.
Well, it was funny. I remember being in a bookstore, like literally hours after you recommended it, and my hand hovered over it,
Trembling?
And then I yes, with fear and trembling,
Fear and Trembling, Sickness Unto Death.
and sickness unto death.
Yeah, that's another book. Yeah.
But then I realized, you know what? I have to rebel a little bit because if I can't just do everything McIntyre tells. Even if it's right, I can't always do everything he tells.
I hope
have
not.
to stumble around. So it was after I left home. No longer had close coffee meetings as we often would have. Practically every other day we'd go out for coffee and talk about philosophy, this, that, and the other thing. And it was maybe a couple months. I decided it's time to read. Purity of Heart is to will one thing.
And what was your reaction?
That was the best book I read for that whole year. And I mean, it's a book that you constantly need to refer back to and reflect on.
Read that book.
Oh yeah. In any event, that's what I believe is the most profound impact, which I will carry for many. And also, he taught me a lot about how to fight. And that's something I really enjoy.
Yeah. The one thing we have in common is that Samurai Warrior is woven into our DNA.
He's Irish. I'm Armenian.
He's Armenian. So he's an Armenian samurai. I'm an Irish. Right?
Well,
so we like conflict in ideas.
Contrary to that, we like prevailing within the conflict.
That's true. But I'm so old now. I don't really care about winning. I just care about getting in and having a good scrap. Seriously,
I'd like to win a little bit
because
I like winning.
This
okay?
life is not a rehearsal.
I really
don't
like
believe
winning.
that this life is a rehearsal. I believe that this life is what you have to focus on. Whatever comes after this life, if anything comes after this life, that's beyond my pay grade. That's beyond my pay. I can't worry about.
You have to be stoic about.
I am a pantheo stoic. He's a devout Christian. Okay.
That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
Anyway, folks, if you have a friendship that is lasting and enduring, then you are really blessed in this life.
And we'd love for you to share it. Please
Yes.
write it in the comments below.
That's right.
Also, we really love doing what we do. Please consider becoming a Patreon. I'll provide a link in the description for if you're watching over Facebook. Please, please, please. We'd love to have your support and partner with you and become, your friend.
Yeah. And tell us what you would like us to podcast about. This podcast comes because of a listener comment. And so, therefore, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next time. See you, Alex.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.